Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today I've got Davinci Resolve open. This is 18.5. This is the free version, and I want to go over how to stabilize some footage. It's pretty simple with Davinci Resolve. I've got some skate videos here, just done from a local event that was put on here in the Vancouver area over the last summer. And I just want to show you how to kind of stabilize your handheld footage. This is all shot with my DSLR Pentax K3 Mark III. These were shot at 1080p and 60 frames per second. So I'm going to stabilize them, but I'm also going to slow them down a little bit. So I just kind of want to go over that with you all today and how to do that. I've already dumped them into my media pool here. I'm going to go over to the edit tab here. I'm going to drag down one of these clips here. I don't want the audio, I just want the video, because we're going to slow it down. And if you have audio and slow down footage, then it kind of has that kind of slow motion voice kind of thing, which kind of sucks. So I'm going to put music to this afterwards. But I just wanted to kind of show you how to do it. So the way I do it is I go through the footage and kind of pick out the sections that I want to stabilize and slow down. So I usually double click on it and I'll knock that down because I don't want the audio to come through. And I'll kind of go through it. And as you can kind of see, it's a little bit shaky. It's handheld. Right, so you can kind of see the horizon kind of moving and stuff, but there's some good action here. I was crouched down low, sort of watching the skater. Didn't have my camera on a gimbal or anything. It was all being done handheld. But I kind of want to go through it and stabilize it a bit. So I'm going to kind of, I guess right at the beginning there, I'm going to mark an in and out point with the little tab over here. And I'm going to sort of scrub through it, and I'm going to kind of get a few of his moves here. He comes over to the side there. This guy kind of walks through the frame, and does a little hand plant there, and then I think we're going to end it right about there because he kind of falls off. So if you hover over the video here, you'll see that you'll have the video icon and the audio icon. I just want the video, but what I also want to do is I want to slow this down. I shot it at 60 frames per second. I want to play it back at 24 frames per second. And I've done another video on how to do this in Resolve. It's super simple. Basically, once you've kind of set your ins and outs points, this is the video that you want to work with. Go back up over to your clip here, right click on it, click on Clip Attributes. You'll see that it was shot at 59.94 frames per second. I'm going to change that down to 24. I'm going to click OK. Now this clip is at 24 frames per second. So if I click on this and drag it down, and it plays. If I click this, drag it down to the timeline, it's basically going to play at 24 frames per second. So now it's nice and slow. But as you can see, there's a bit of movement to it. All right. And what I want to do is I want to stabilize it. So I'm going to go over to here, right, in the inspector tab here. I'm going to click on stabilization. And generally what I do is I don't want to crop it in too much, right? The more you crop in, the more or the less it's going to literally crop in on the clip, right? So if I click on set it all the way to 1, which is the highest amount, it's going to analyze the clip, and then it's going to do its thing. And as you can see, hardly even cropped in, right? If I play it back, it's not really that stable, right? So what I want to do is I want to reset that, and I usually drop it down a little bit more like 350. If I'm doing handheld, I usually do around, say, 350, 250 to 350. We'll just kind of leave it 353 in there, right? I don't really change the strength or the smoothness too much, and I always kind of keep it a perspective. There's a few other modes that you can do. I don't really play around with translation too much. I don't really play around with similarity. I've heard that if you have really shaky footage, the translation is a good way to go, but perspective is generally what I do. So if I click on 353, smoothness, keep it at 250, which is kind of the default, and I click on stabilize. As you can see, it just kind of cropped it in a little bit, all right? So if I go back and I play it, it's definitely smoother, right? And if I go back and let's reset that and basically go, say, down to like 250, and I click stabilize. It's going to crop in even more on the footage. So what I'm going to do, basically, because I shot this at 2.7K. No, actually, sorry, I shot this at 1920. So because I'm playing this back and I'm going to export it at 1920, you're going to, if you crop in, you're going to lose a little bit of the resolution. So I don't want to crop in too much, but I want to smooth the footage a little bit. So just enough to kind of get rid of some of the handheld jitters, if you want to call them that. So I'm going to again drop it to about 350-ish, somewhere around there. It's not an exact science. Don't worry about it. Play around with it based on your footage. Click stabilize. It's going to do its thing. And if I play it back, it's just kind of smoothed it out just a little bit. But what I want to do is I want to add a little bit of slow-mo. So I'm going to retime this, Control R. So what I want to do is I want to change this down to kind of match the speed of the of 24 frames per second. So I'm going to change it down to 200, which is basically going to be really around, say, 215-ish. If I play this back, it should be relatively close to real-time speed, maybe down to 225-ish. Because I shot this at 60 and I want to play it back at 24. So I kind of have to match the percentage rate as close to real time as possible. That's pretty close. But because I've already doing a retime on it, what I want to do is if I go, say it comes in the bowl, out here, right about here, I want to put a marker. And I've done a video on this as well. You can also check this. I'm just kind of doing this because it's here in front of me. And just for his little air. And then as he slaps down, I kind of want to change it back up to real-time speed. And a speed point, change that to 100. And I'm just going to do a little curve on that. Retime curve. Just so it's not as jarring on the in and out. And again, I've done another video on how to do this a little bit more in depth. So if you want to check that video out, I'll put the link in the description. It's pretty easy. All right. So now what we want to do is, when you play that back, do and back up to real speed. And then I want to do the same thing right about here. Just as he's coming out of the bowl, I want to put a speed point. Move it forward a bit. And then down. And right about there, I'm going to add another speed point. And then change that to 100. Back up to. There we go. Bring down that curve a little bit, just so it's not as jarring. Alright, let's see what that looks like. Yeah. There we go. And that's pretty good. Alright, I'm going to export that. I've already set it in there. I'm going to put stabilize 1. QuickTime H.264 1920 by 1080, 24 frames per second. I usually set all this to best and auto and whatnot. And then we're going to add to render queue, render. And then I'm going to play them back side by side, the stabilized and the non-stabilized. I could have added some slow-mos on the other ones, but I just want to kind of give you more of a tutorial on the stabilization feature of Davinci Resolve, which is pretty straightforward. All right, we're going to play those back here side by side. You can see them. Alright, so we're going to try a different clip here. I'm going to get rid of this one. And let's see what this one's all about. This one was pretty handheld, as you can kind of see. Oh, a little bit of jiggling here. That's the great Adam Hopkins. Skateboarding. He is from Vancouver. He is a pro sponsored skateboarder. He also has his own half-pipe rental company called Ramp Time Productions. If you're ever in the Vancouver area and need a half-pipe, you can hit them up. I'll put a link in the description. Alright, so let's do the in and outs on this. So he's back here. I'm going to do the in. And right there is where it gets all jiggly. We'll see how this smooths it out a little bit. And then right back there, just as he kind of exits the bowl. Alright, so same idea, we want to re-speed this. So clip attributes. Alright, we've done that. We just need the video. We're going to go down here. And we're going to put that up a wee bit. Do the stabilization. Again, knock it down just a wee bit. Say this one I'm going to do 350-ish. Stabilize. Crop down a little bit. Let's see here. Still got a little bit of wobble, but it's not too bad. It's definitely more stable than it was. It's definitely smoother. Lose a little bit at the top when he comes flying through the frame, but that's not bad. Alright, same thing we're going to do on this. Right about there. Actually, we'll retime that. I'm going to change that up to... This drop-down menu is helpful, but it doesn't have exactly the numbers you want, so you kind of have to click and drag to kind of get it up to the numbers you want. 224 is fine. I'm going to mark it right about here. Add a speed point. And right about there, just before he hits the ground. So kind of right after they take off and right before they hit the ground is kind of that sweet spot of doing this slow or fast, slow, fast effect, I find. If you do it right when they kind of hit the ground or just after, then you're kind of getting them going slow motion as they're on the ground. You kind of want to get them slow motion as they're in the air. Or while they're in the air, I should say. There we go, right there. Perfect. Alright, I'm going to deliver that. Do 2. Q. Let that do its thing. And let's watch that side by side. Original and stabilized. Come back in here and we're going to do one more. Let's see what this one's all about here. This guy's good. He has quite a bit of wobble there. He's doing a little ollie. He's got a little bit of wobble there. And that is cool. Alright. So, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to slow this down. I'm just going to stabilize it. So, let's see what that looks like. I haven't done this one before, so this will be new for me. Let's keep it at 5. Hit the old stabilize button, see what that does. And cropped it in a little bit. Let's play that back. It's not too bad. You lose a little bit. That's not bad. Play that again. That's not bad for handheld. Let's try that. Alright, let's try bumping that up a wee bit to say 700-ish. Let's see what that does. Oh, no crop on that at all. Yeah, that didn't really do much. Let's drop that down. Let's try 5 at translation. Stabilize. Let's see what that does. Dropped it in a little bit. Whoa, whoa, whoa. No, it's not very good at all. I don't like that. I think perspective is the way to go for this. Alright, let's try that. Keep that at 5. Well, maybe, yeah, 5, 600-ish. Stabilize. Let's see what that looks like. That should be good. I'm just going to export that. And then we'll do a side by side. So pretty straightforward, pretty easy to do stabilization with Davinci Resolve. Just kind of let the program do all the work for you. Does a pretty good job, especially for handheld. So let's go ahead and watch this one side by side with the original. So there you have it, stabilization from Davinci Resolve. Works pretty good. I usually use the perspective option. It seems to work the best for me and my stuff. And I always sort of just kind of keep it in that 500 or 0.5, I should say, to say 0.35, maybe up to like 0.75. Those seem to be the numbers that work for my particular kind of footage. But again, just play around with it. It's super easy. Don't be afraid of that little stabilize button over there. You can always just reset it or just delete the clip and reload it and try a bunch of different options. But like I said, super easy to use. And thanks for watching, everybody. And I will see you again in the next video. Bye.